Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is get the tank prepped and ready to go. You'll see the float cord that comes tied up, and this is tied on here. When you take the black lid off, you'll find the additional components, which is the valve and the breather. This is a breather filter that screws into the tank. These are already Teflon taped and ready to go. And this is the breather for an atmospheric tank, so it doesn't allow anything atmospherically to get inside the tank. So that just screws right into this connection right here. Just line that up. Here it goes in straight. So this is the air breather. We're going to go ahead and just put that in, and you turn that all the way down, and it has a stop on it. So it'll stop right when it gets to the end, and you're all set. This is the inlet valve where our blue line that comes from the system is going to connect to this here. Once again, this is a plug. This is where the line will connect to. You just push the little white collet towards the valve. That releases where you can pull the plug out. This is going to thread into the tank. And that's all set. And the blue handle on this is the operating position. It's always in that position and should never change from that unless there's testing being done. So now we'll take the blue line, which is going to come from the system, and that's what's going to connect directly into the tank right there. And once again, make sure the John Guest line is nice and straight. That's going to line up straight into the white valve or the black valve, push in and stop, and then all the way in, and then pull back to make sure it locks into place. And we're all set. Okay, now we're going to connect the float. This is what connects to the processor. And the float is designed that hangs down in there, that once the tank is full, then this will shut the system off. So we'll go ahead and route this up, and it'll go into the side of the processor. Connection here, you'll see there's 2 gold pins, and it only goes in one way. You just want to make sure the pins are lined up into the connection. So that just sets right in there. Once it's in, the nut just turns to the right and it just locks into place. And that line is already provided, which is fed to the ice machine, the coffee machines, and the espresso machines. It's very important to remember that the pump must be set on the ground. When the system is shipped, this valve is pointing straight up. It just needs to turn to the right, so it's at a horizontal position. You'll connect the 1-inch to the barb fitting hose there and to the bottom of the pump. Putting a little bit of silicone on there, it helps it go across the barb a lot easier as well. Now we're going to go ahead and connect the line that comes from the pump, which pressurizes the buffer tank. He's going to get that on there. Once again, putting a little silicone on there makes it easier for that barb to go on. And then the final return from the buffer tank back in, connecting to the pump. The next thing we need to do is to make sure you prime the pump. So we're going to use a tank that we brought, or you can just use a pitcher. It'll hold maybe 1 gallon to 2 gallons. You unscrew the top connection there. That will come out. Just make sure to keep that in place the way it is. Has a little check valve on the end. And And then we'll go ahead and prime the pump by putting water in there. You can just use regular tap water. Slowly put it in until it comes up to the top level. So now he has that filled to the top. He'll go ahead and put the valve with the check valve back in there and snug that down all the way. And the other important thing to remember too is to keep the red handle on the big storage tank in the off position. We'll also turn the valve off on the buffer tank as well. That'll also be in the off position as well.